When my grandparents passed away, my parents decided not to sell their house and allowed me to live there since I was ready to move out. My only responsibilities were to cover the taxes and monthly expenses. Initially, I really enjoyed living alone, given that I could have whoever I wanted over whenever I wanted. But it quickly got lonely being alone. To remedy this, I adopted a 2-year-old German Shepherd named Max, after the gladiator Maximus. Max is an exceptionally calm and gentle dog. He rarely barks, doing so only when he perceives a threat or is engaging in play with other dogs. The day after bringing him home, I purchased a dog bed for him and placed it beside mine. Since Max's arrival, I've kept the bedroom door open to allow him access to water during the night should he become thirsty. One night, not long after adopting Max, I was roused by his barking from down the hall. Groggily, I left my bed to investigate the commotion. As I stumbled through the hallway and rubbed my eyes, I was met with the sight of Max furiously barking and scratching at the basement door. I was at a loss. Typically, I would call my dad for such matters, but now it fell to me, and I was petrified. The decision whether to let Max accompany me downstairs was brief. I knew I couldn't venture alone. Gently, I cracked open the door, which Max nudged with his nose, bolting down the stairs. I switched on the lights and trailed him. His silence now was unsettling. Searching for him, I called out his name until I found him frozen, tail tucked, staring at something in the far corner, obscured by a wall. As I drew nearer, Max's tail lifted slightly. Now, I could see his focus, a closet door. His earlier display of bravery had faded, and he returned to his usual, reserved demeanor. As I stood there, the only thought crossing my mind was whether I should dare to open the closet door and confront whatever might be inside. I wasn't familiar with Max's behavior, but I sensed he wouldn't harm anyone or anything hidden there. Doubting if it was the correct decision, I chose not to open the door. Instead, I grasped Max's collar and escorted him upstairs. He glanced back at the basement corner until we reached the stairs. After closing the basement door, I led him to my bedroom and secured that door as well. Then, I proceeded to the kitchen to call my father. It took 3 attempts before he answered with a sleepy voice. After hearing the situation, he advised me to arm myself with a large knife or another weapon and investigate the closet. Admitting my fear, I hesitated, and during our conversation, I noticed the basement door had swung open. Pausing the call, I listened intently and confirmed the sound of footsteps moving toward the front door. I dashed to my bedroom, updated my father, and he instructed me to call the police, which I did. By the time they arrived, the intruder had fled. Regrettably, I had left a substantial sum of money by the bar in the basement, and it was now missing. The wide-open basement window revealed their escape route. It was a burglary that occurred while I was at home. This incident occurred merely 2 weeks ago. Ever since childhood, I've harbored a fear of basements. Now, at 18, the fear has somewhat lessened, yet I still find myself glancing over my shoulder at any sound, and occasionally, a flutter of anxiety arises when I'm alone. On that chilly Friday evening, I was by myself at home, lounging in the basement where our largest TV is situated, my usual spot for video games. Engrossed in Fortnite, a wildly popular first-person shooter, with my friends online, I was wearing headphones. Despite the game's loud effects, a distinct thump from behind caught my attention. Removing the headphones, I surveyed the basement's rear. The space is expansive but cluttered to the point of requiring physical effort to inspect thoroughly. Despite the unsettling nature of unexpected noises, I dismissed it as inconsequential. Attempting to refocus on the game proved futile. The noise had captured part of my attention. Opting to play without headphones due to a surge of paranoia, I wanted to stay alert to my environment. Then, a sharp metallic clank with an echoing ring sounded. I shut off the console, stunned. The noise seemed deliberate, as if caused by someone or something. I crept exceedingly slowly towards the basement's rear, and upon glimpsing the large metal air vent in the corner, I realized it was likely the sound's origin. Approaching as near as I dared, I paused to observe the vent. A wave of intense, sickening dread washed over me, and I felt a life-sapping chill as a hand emerged from the vent, beckoning me. A deep, gravelly voice entreated, "Come here. I need help." Initially frozen, I began to retreat step by step, gaping at the vent. The hands then clutched the vent, rattling it violently, evidently attempting to force it open. I yelled, "I'm calling the cops," yet the violent shaking persisted. I did what I said. I called the cops and told them to send someone right away. The operator told me to go to a room upstairs with a weapon, lock the door, and hide. I was the most scared I'd ever been in my entire life, and the pain and fear of the situation only became worse when I heard a door bust open downstairs, and I could hear a maniac screaming at the top of his lungs. I'm not lying when I said he was screaming things like, "Where are you? I'm gonna kill you." I heard him run up the stairs. He probably ran up 2 stairs for every step, because he was up the stairs in like 3 seconds. My heart was in my throat when he tried the doorknob to the door and started pounding on it so hard I could see the door caving in a little bit. I thought he was actually going to break the door down. I had to escape through the window, or it would have been the end for me. I suspect he heard me because the banging ceased. I leaped from the window into the bushes below, and by sheer luck, a police car arrived at my house. I ran towards the officer, pleading with them to enter the house and apprehend the man. They instructed me to stay in the police car, which they locked, and then they proceeded into the house, guns at the ready. 5 minutes later, the officers emerged, escorting the handcuffed man. He replaced me in the back seat of the police car, and from that moment until they departed, he fixed me with the most malevolent, hate-filled glare imaginable. That glare still haunts me, as does the entire ordeal. I occasionally spend time in the basement, but much less frequently. I'm going to share a story composed of hazy recollections from my childhood in our old house. In the basement, my brother Jack and I spent our time where our dad, Michael, had set up a hockey table, pool table, and video games. We often played on his Super Nintendo, but at some point, which I can't quite recall, Jack and I started hearing noises from the boiler laundry room. The first incident occurred while we were engrossed in a racing game on the Super Nintendo. Suddenly, we heard a loud bang. The dryer door had slammed shut. Instinctively, we shouted for Mom, thinking she might have been there all along, unnoticed. However, the room was pitch black and completely devoid of people. When we realized this, we both ran upstairs, screaming for our parents, leaving everything downstairs still on. Our parents came down to humor what they probably thought were just our dumb, childish antics, and nobody was in the laundry room. Moving along probably a few months, I was awake late one night for whatever reason walking to the kitchen, passing the basement door, and remember hearing the TV downstairs turn on. It was one of those big old box TVs, so it made that distinct clicking sound as it turned on. I called Mom, Dad, and Jack's name. No one answered. I went to my parents' room to tell them, and they were both upset with me for waking them. My dad went downstairs to turn off the TV, and I remember him telling me it's a glitchy TV. Several other strange incidents occurred, but I'll skip ahead to the most chilling event. It happened a few days before we were scheduled to move into our new home. Nearly everything had been sent ahead to the new place, except for the TV and video games which our parents let us keep until the final days. While Jack and I were engrossed in a video game, I suddenly felt a blow to the back of my head. Initially, I thought Jack was responsible, but then I noticed a red ball rolling behind the sofa. At that moment, the door to the boiler room began to close slowly, and Jack and I exchanged looks of sheer terror. Once again, we ran upstairs screaming. Our parents once again went downstairs, but when they came back up, they were strangely silent. They told us to go to our rooms and wait there. A while later, a police car showed up, but our parents wouldn't let us out of our rooms. They wouldn't tell us what happened until we finally moved. Apparently, my dad tried to open the boiler room door, but something was holding it shut, or perhaps pulling it shut. Even so long ago, I could sense fear in my dad's voice explaining it. I don't believe in ghosts, but to this day, I still don't know what to make of what was going on in that basement. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed our stories and would like to hear more, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you captivating tales and new content every week. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We appreciate every one of you for being a part of our storytelling journey.